welcome everybody to my channel, and my name is Priya. And I guess anybody who has clicked on this particular video is wondering the same thing. Is twin flames real? And do you actually meet twin flames in this particular universe? And to all the questions that all of you have, the answer is yes, and I'm going to explain it to you through my story, how I met my twin flame, and I knew that he was a twin flame. So let's dive into the video. Okay, the first question is, what is a twin flame? And how do you know that somebody is your twin flame? So the very basic answer to what is a twin flame is very simple. That your twin flame is basically, I'll explain it to you through the way of, let's say, a light. Yeah. So when we're talking about a light, imagine a very big ball of light coming from outer space. Right? All of you can imagine that. That's very simple, right? Because we see it in movies. A big ball of light coming down from the space. And that particular ball of light gets divided when it reaches the earth. And they fall in two different places. And that is why we say they're twin flames, because they are both fire, they're both light. And they were made of the same light. Okay, so I will dive deeper into how a twin flame and a soulmate is different. But before I do all of that, I'm gonna get down into my story of how I met my twin flame, so that any one of you who are thinking that your prospective partner could be a twin flame, or if you want to meet your twin flame, is it easy? Is it not easy? How to do that? Let's get into it, right? Okay, so before I start this video, I need to dive a little deeper into my past so that I can narrate the whole story to you of how I knew that I met my twin flame and not a soulmate or just a random person, right? Yeah, so how did I understand was, when you look into my past, I'm not going to go too much into the details, but just know this much, that I have been through a very abusive relationship. And when I mean abusive relationship, the relationship was abusive in terms of like verbally it was abusive, in terms of mentally also it was very exhausting and abusive. And I've been with that person who was abusive to me for almost 7 years. So let's start the story there. And I don't want to dive deeper into that negative part or the negative story, but just know that I was in a very, very horrible space when it comes to relationship. And the way it ended was also very bad. So for me to think that I would even have a capability or a time where I'll be meeting a twin flame was very different. Like, I never thought that it was even possible. And anyways, when all the bad shit happened to me, I didn't even know that twin flames existed. I didn't know what was a twin flame in the first place. Yeah. So I'll give you a small story at the end of how the past ended. So just know this much, that there was a lot of physical abuse, and I was too young to even understand that I was being physically abused. But he cheated on me. He got somebody pregnant, and he was having lots of other women in his life, not only one. So anyway, so you can understand, and all of this came in front of my parents. Like, my families were involved. We were about to get married. So long story short, we were about to get married. It just happened when the marriage thoughts were going on with both the families. They wanted to get us hooked because we've been together for so long, and some person came into my life who told me all of this about my ex, and it ended. So I was already in a very bad space when it comes to relationship and love. And something good happened to me during that time is that during the course of when all of this was going wrong, I stumbled upon law of attraction, and I started believing that there's something good in the universe for me. And when this whole thing went wrong, my life did seem like it's crumbling completely down. But somewhere I felt that I do have a hope, like somebody came and saved me from all of this mess that could have come later on in my life, but it came in a time when I was just about to enter into a serious marriage or something like that. So I took it as a blessing in the first place. So then the story goes on. So I'm very sad and I'm crying a lot, and I'm crying a lot, like literally a lot. Like I've not eaten for 4 days. My parents, they're very worried, but everybody is in a trauma when they came to know about all of this. And then there is my sister, my elder sister. She doesn't know how to really console me. So she comes up to me and one day she's like, I'll tell you a very simple thing. Uh, Just look at good looking boys and they will act as a therapy for your brain. I know that that's the last thing you want to do right now, like especially looking at somebody, boys, because at that particular moment I was feeling like every man in my life is like they're monsters. That's how I was feeling, and I know it was very wrong, but somehow my sister's that thing, just look at good looking boys and it'll be like a therapy for you, kind of worked for me. So I ended up spending like a whole lot of time in reels and just in social media, basically like trying to search for any good looking person that I know. That's it. And then I stumbled upon my sister's friend. And during the time when I felt like all men are monsters, this friend of my sister that I had met around 3 years before that incident happened, like I met him in the year 2018, and this incident happened with me in 2020. I remember that this particular man was very sweet to me, and with the space that I was in, it was very difficult for me to even think of a person who was sweet, or to think something good about a man. But when I thought about him, I was like, okay, this is a man who treated me so nicely, and because he treated me nicely, during the time that I was with that ex, inside my head, I built a whole story about him. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I really wanted to just move on faster, or just, go to a better headspace and not suffer inside. So I was friends with this man in social media, and I started completely being obsessed with this man. Okay, like completely obsessed with this person. I'll sleep, I'll look at his pictures, his videos, and not like in the obsession, not in the sense that I'll, track him or something. No, not in that sense. But I was obsessed with his pictures and I was getting very inspired by him. Like the way he works out, and I was very inspired that he takes care of his body. So all of this was very inspiring for me. And that's the way I was getting attracted towards him. And I thought that if I have spent 7 long years behind something bad, somebody who's bad for me, why will I give up on love now? Instead, I wanted to, shower my love towards the right person. So if a bad person I've showered so much and he turned out to be like this, I'm not going to give up on love. Instead, I'm going to shower more on the right person, because maybe he'll heal me. He'll just doesn't even have to heal me. Just he'll just be him, and I love him, and he'll love me. Basically, just love me. That's it. Because I was thinking like that. And long story short, I got completely obsessed with this guy. I would keep on watching his videos, his songs, his this, his that. Like I was like, oh my god! Inside my head, I think I already started dating him. And this went on for a long 8 months. So my breakup happened in the month of October in 2022. So that was during COVID. And for a long 8 months, I'm obsessed with my sister's friend. And in middle of all of this, my sister left for her higher studies. And so she went abroad. And I couldn't directly talk to her. But I came to a position where I was like, I'm going to tell your friend that I like him. Like directly. I did not have any contact with this man from 2018. I don't know who he is also, honestly. The only good thing was that feeling I remember when I met him. He was sweet to me. He took me to a shop because my sister asked him to take me to a shop because I needed to buy something and I was new to that state. And that's the only thing I knew about him. And his name, that's it. I don't know much about him. That's it. And then my sister says that, Tanu, you are not a good companion for him. And here I am completely obsessed with this man. And I'm like, how do you know that? I know I'm like the perfect match for him. And my sister is like, you don't know that man. You're just seeing the social media stuff and you're getting attracted towards him. But trust me, he's just not for you and you're just not for him. But it's not getting inside my head. I'm thinking all kinds of stuff by this time. And I also stumbled upon the concept of twin flame at this particular time. And I'm trying to find clues whether he's my twin flame or not. So long story short, turns out he was not my twin flame. But I really got obsessed with him and I started approaching him. I sent him messages saying hi. He would reply and eventually he stopped replying also. I got that level of obsessed. And it's not like I'm texting him all the time. It's just I'm texting him once a week. Okay, but then I'm texting him long stuff. Like I'm telling him that, you really inspire me. I didn't say I like you, but I said, you really inspire me. And I used to call him act like he's an elder brother because he's my sister's friend. And eventually he stopped replying. And I guess it was, at that particular moment, it was hurting me a lot. But at one point I understood, okay, I am going too much into something that is not even meant for me. And my sister called me to tell me that why am I texting her friend so much? And then she told me the truth. She said that Tanu, he doesn't open up that much and he doesn't talk that much. So I'm telling you, both of you are completely two different people. He's very different from you. You're just not meant for him. But things are still not getting inside my head. Okay. So then the story progresses and I come for my higher studies and I leave my house because it was COVID. That's why I was in my house. I completed my studies in a different place itself. And then the COVID was almost coming to an end. So it's 2021 and I leave my house and I come to another state. And here when I'm in this particular state, I meet new people. It's a complete different life for me in this state. In this particular place, and I have an amazing roommate and I have an amazing best friend. So my roommate is also my best friend now. We don't stay together. I'll tell you the whole story, like how I met my twin flame basically. So I come to this particular state and I'm really happy here, but somehow I feel very hollow inside because in my head I'm still thinking about that man. And this one particular day, I remember I was sitting with my roommate and I told her that, I'm really obsessed with this guy and I really think he likes me, but maybe he's too shy to talk about it because my sister says he's very shy. And then my friend got really angry with me and she's like, why are you texting him like that? Like out of the blue, he doesn't even know, he clearly has no interest in you. He's not even replying, he's just being sweet. So he's just replying one word. Stop doing that. And that day I stopped. Then comes the time of dating apps. Then I dive deeper into dating apps. So my friend tells me that why don't you try dating apps? You have dated somebody for 7 years, it went wrong and you completely missed out on dating apps. Like we meet people through dating apps these days. I said, I don't really believe that you can meet somebody through dating apps. Like there's a lot of people just trying to hook up and I am not in a place in my life right now where I would, just be okay hooking up with somebody because I've just been through the most traumatic relationship ever. And I don't think that I would be that open to just, give my body up for one day and feel okay about it because I've already been so traumatized physically also. So I don't think that I'm in the right space for a dating app. But then she convinces me, what is it? Anyway, so I get into the dating apps, okay? Convinces, I don't know what's happened to me. Yeah. And I'm going through these dating apps. I'm meeting a lot of people, but the way I used to talk, because I was very open about what I wanted at this point of time in my life, I was very open that what kind of a man I wanted in my life. And before 2020 and all of this shit happened, I had no clue what kind of a man I wanted in my life. Nothing. Like anybody who will come to me will say, Priya, please make me your boyfriend. And out of like I would might be I don't even like them, but just out of the sake that yeah he'll feel bad if I say no, I'll just say yes. So that's the person I used to be before, and then I completely changed. So now I had like a whole checklist. So I was talking to anybody in a dating app. I was telling them that I am looking for something long term. I'm not saying that you have to get married to me right now, but I'm not looking for a hookup. And I was very open about this. I met a lot of amazing guys through dating app. Many of them were also open to me that they're only looking for a hookup. They have also been through something in their life and they're also not ready to settle down. So, and I completely understood that. And we are still friends in social media, those guys. And I've also met a lot of jerks. And I've also met a lot of people who said, you talk too mature for your age. Back then I was 25. So they were like, you talk too mature for your age. This is the story of 2021. And then I had 6 different dates that I really liked, and they were all lined up one after the other. And all the dates, I'll tell you, got cancelled because I don't know, like it was raining outside, we couldn't go out the time that we wanted to go out. It started pouring outside, so we couldn't go out. My tummy starts hurting, I get sick, I couldn't go out. Something or the other happened, and all 6 of my dates got cancelled. Either from their side or from my side, mostly from my side, because I was either getting sick or something was happening. I couldn't meet. And most astonishing part was there was a guy that I was almost like about to meet. Like I got ready, I went out with my friends. He was about to come and we were about to go to a pub and sit. And thankfully I went with my friends because he was on his way, and then that guy got a call from his office and he had to go back. I don't know if that was an excuse though. Anyways, before I could reach the place only, he said that he had to skip it and he couldn't make it. So yeah, 6 dates gone like that, down the drain. And here I am thinking, I'm gonna meet a twin flame because I've seen a lot of videos about twin flames and how to recognize a twin flame. And finally, after this entire long process of trying to find a good man, I stumbled upon my twin flame. So it's the night when I'm completely exhausted and I'm talking to my best friend. My roommate, she was not there that day. And I was talking to my best friend. He was sitting just with me. And I told him I just don't know if I can do this anymore, especially these dating apps. I'm exhausted with this and with so many dates being cancelled. I don't think that I can continue doing this because I've never really dated properly. I've just, from the school time, I was with my ex, and I don't know how to do this, how to meet a stranger and just continue, like, do this whole thing. And it's not happening for me. And then he said, yeah, why not? Fine. If you're not ready, maybe someday later. And I remember that particular night. I told him that, I'll give it the last try. At this point of time, let me recall, like I've already given up on that guy, that my Didi's friend, and I understood it's not for me. I'm giving up on dating apps. And then I'm like, I'm done. So I told him, for one last time, I'll give it one try. And I remember it was Bumble. It was around 11 at night. And I was like, yeah, I'm swiping for the last time. And if this doesn't work, I'm giving up for now. And I stumbled upon this guy. His account looks a bit fishy because I just met one guy the previous day where his account was like, he seemed a little fishy, but I was like, it's okay. He's good looking and he is sweet. So let's talk to him. And it turns out that guy started stalking me. Like he started sending me things like, I know you're there, you're here. So I was anyways a bit creeped out. And then this is the last day that I'm talking about, that I'm sitting with my best friend and I'm saying, remember I was getting stalked by somebody and I kind of feel like this account is fake, but this guy is really cute. And I show it to my friend and he's like, it doesn't matter, he's cute, see, just swipe. If you like him, just swipe. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just swipe. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh my god, this account is so weird. He just has one proper picture where I can see his face and he's like sweetly sitting. And the rest of the pictures are like a weird pictures, like, art movie pictures, like black background, green setting. I don't know, it's just weird. Like, you can't really see anybody's face. It's like a art film or an exhibition going on. Like, who is putting an exhibition picture there? Like in Bumble and all these dating apps, I'm more interested to see how you look, what are your interests. And then I think the best part was that I saw that one picture where he's like so sweetly sitting. And the next thing that attracted me was a particular line that he had written there, that he would enjoy being with somebody where even silence made sense. Like something in that line was there. Can't completely remember, but something was there like that. And the bio that he had written was like, you know, it kind of made me feel like he really wanted to be with somebody. Not that he was desperately looking. That's not something I felt, but he was into books. Yeah, 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 yeah. So the next thing that attracted me was he was into a lot of books. And I, by that time, it was like in 2021, I wrote my first book and I published it. So I was very excited about that, that I published a book. But somewhere I always felt like there was something missing because I did not read a lot of books in my life till that point of time. And I felt like I wrote a book because I had a good story in my head. But in order for me to ever become a good writer in future, I should be somebody who reads a lot of books. So that's something I was personally feeling. And then with this person's bio, I could feel like he reads a lot of books, and that's something that I was really attracted to. And I swiped. We got to talk, like we started talking, and we were talking a lot. So we were talking for an entire hour, and I remember we were just chatting in Bumble basically for an entire hour. And I remember there was this one point of time I felt like I'm talking to myself. Like, I felt like it's me who's replying from the other side. Like, I remember I used to, like, the way I text, generally, the way I'm texting, the way my replies are, most of the guys used to be like, why does it feel like you're too straight, you're on the point, and you talk like you're not a 25-year-old girl, you talk like you're like 35, 37-year-old lady. Like you're not really 25, it seems like that. And I remember back then Bumble had few games going on, so you could just like write, like, I mean, you could just click on them and they would just come, and both of you could answer that question. And most of the time I would answer that question literally, like most of the guys would just use a funny story or something like that. And there I was, if there's a question which is supposed to be funny, I'll just give a direct answer to it. And to my surprise, the guy that I was talking to, the one I just swiped, was doing the exact same thing, and we went along so well. Like everything was like not colors, I would say, but everything was so calm. And everything felt like, wow, I'm just talking to myself, but it's not me. And then I remember he asked, the first thing that kind of like triggered me a bit was that I told him about my book, and I told him that I really liked his bio because he wrote there that he reads a lot of books, and I want to read a lot of books in my life, and I wanted to be with somebody who reads books. So then he said, why? And I said, because I have written a book, and I feel that if I want to write more books in my life, I want to be with somebody who reads a lot of books. And then he says, you're like in the message only, but like sometimes you can just understand the way people reply. So his reply was, did you really write a book? And that triggered me. And I remember sending him my book's link, and like in Amazon and Flipkart, I remember. And I still remember he was so impressed that the next thing this guy says is like, do you want me to read your book? Do you want me to buy your book after I get you a coffee or before I get you a coffee? So I was like, wow, he really knows how to play with his words. And then I remember we were talking over the call, and he was asking me a lot about law of attraction, the universe, because I really believe in them, and I was way too much into them that time. I still am, but yeah, that time I was way too much into them. The next day we met, and we met in person. And I remember he was wearing his mask. I was not wearing my mask, I was just carrying it in my bag. He was wearing his mask, and for like first 10 minutes, we couldn't get a place in the restaurant that we wanted, because like we decided to meet and we didn't really pick a place per se. So we just directly went there without booking, and we couldn't get a place. So I remember walking with him, and he's wearing his mask, so I can't really understand, is this the guy or not, because there was only one picture of the guy in that particular bumble, where his picture was just like this. So I couldn't even see how, the body looks like. It's just his face basically. And then this guy is wearing a mask, so I can't even see the face. And then I'm there thinking constantly, oh my god, I made another mistake. Oh my god, I think I met some other stalker, or maybe I met some another person who's not the person I was talking to the previous night. I was thinking all kinds of stuff in my head. And I remember we went to this coffee place. We went to this coffee place. And he was constantly on an office call, and he kept saying sorry to me because he's like, it's a Sunday, but I have my office, but I really wanted to meet you. So I just came during my office hours only. And he was constantly answering, like texting something. And then he got a call. When he got a call, we just ordered our coffee, we sat. He got his call, so he picked it up and he opened his mask. And I'm telling you, I've never felt like this before. I smiled. This guy's not even looking at me, just imagine. This guy's not even looking at me. He's on his call and he's doing something, and he's feeling a bit shy that, like the girl is in front of me and I'm not putting my attention on her. Instead, I have to do this. So I can see that shyness in his face and eyes. And I just look at him and I'm like, I don't know, like something happened to me that day. And I was just looking and was like, okay, that's really pretty. I think that's what my head was going through. Like, so cute, something like that. And after the coffee, he said sorry, and we were talking a lot, and then we went to another place. So we finished our coffee, then we went to a place to have lunch, and we were talking. First date was amazing. Like, I still remember it was drizzling. People were not sitting outside. They wanted to go inside the restaurant and sit. But he and I were so busy talking that we didn't even care that there was rain. And in fact, the rain was very romantic. So it was so beautiful. So I'll tell you, so this is how I met my twin flame. And if you want to know a bit of update of how it's going in the year 2024, because I'm making this video in 2024. So he and I moved in. I met him in the month of October. And I have never stayed with somebody also before. And I moved in with him in the month of November 6th. Officially, we moved in the end of November. But yeah, unofficially, we moved in 6th. And it's almost going to be 3 years now that I've stayed with him. And our, like, I don't want to spoil stuff. But yeah, marriage and all, we'll keep it for some other video, okay? All of that. Next video. So that's how it's going. So you know that it's going good. Now I'll tell you tips of how you can understand if he's your twin flame. So tips that I got, because I used to see a lot of videos on twin flame, but none of the videos will literally give you, how to understand that he's your twin flame, because there are like lots of videos which are, just explaining where is your twin flame, how to connect to your twin flame and all of that, which is also very nice, because I kind of feel all of that work now, because I think there was a time where I was constantly trying to attract this man into my life, but I was getting lost on somebody else thinking he's my twin flame, but I never got any signs from that man that he is. I was just trying to make it, make believe that he is. But I'll tell you tips of how to actually understand if he is your twin flame. First tip, he's going to be a mirror of you. That is the difference between a twin flame and a soulmate. So you see, soulmates are people, like people who believe in the spiritual world, and I'll tell you through that. So they say that soulmates are people whom you have met in the, let's say in the heaven, or wherever the power sources that we come from, that people we have met in that particular realm, or that, but in heaven, let's say, that we know those people from there, and when we come to earth we feel a familiarity with them. So you can have more than one soulmates, there can be many soulmates, like somebody that you've met in that particular realm, if you believe in that spiritual world. And twin flame, the difference is that twin flame is not going to be just a familiarity. Okay, that will not be there. It'll be like a mirror, like you're standing and you're looking at yourself. Just that maybe the gender is different. Sometimes the gender doesn't even have to be different. The gender can be same. It doesn't have to be. There could also be a large age gap between both of you, because remember when I said that the energy was falling, the fireball was falling basically. So sometimes it might happen that you might not meet in the same lifetime. Both of you fell in one lifetime, then both of you are again reborn in another lifetime together in different times. Maybe he died early, you died later, you just never met your twin flame, you never believed in that particular lifetime that you could meet your twin flame only, and maybe you're meeting him in this particular realm. Second thing, how you're going to understand. At first you're going to be shocked that there's so much of similar stuff between both of you. Like, it's going to be like, oh my god, like to a point where you're a bit scared, like how can so many similarities be there. So I'll give you an example of that. I remember it was third day of us meeting, and he cancelled because he had a meeting at night and he was supposed to come to my house, and it was third day. So I really didn't want to be overpowering, and I wasn't even texting him much. Only if he texts I'll reply. I am a bit like that sometimes, and especially if I was not trying to show that I like him basically. But my friends knew, they really liked him. So I remember my friends understood that I was really upset, and they somehow got his number from somewhere and called him to our house. And he said to my friends, I really wanted to meet her, but I got this meeting right now. And I was so sad when I said sorry, but she just replied, it's okay. So I didn't know what to say after that. And I remember he came to my house, and I was very surprised because it was a surprise. I didn't know how he got my place, the map and everything. Later on, I came to know it was from my roommate who sent him everything, because she thought that I was very upset. And internally, yes, I was. And before this man came, I constantly kept feeling like he's like somebody's gonna come to the house. And I remember I was getting ready, putting makeup on, and it's 12 o'clock at night, and my friend was supposed to come, but I was getting ready as somebody was coming. And yeah, he literally came. I remember I opened the door and I just didn't know how to react, and both of our reactions were same. Like, we were not smiling or not smiling, we just hugged. And then I said, how are you here? And he said, oh, you don't know? Anyways, I remember then I was a bit upset with him because he said he can't make it that night. So I wasn't talking to him, I was talking to my friends. And I remember both of us were standing, and both of us were standing near a door. And the way both of us were standing is like, even the way we put our legs and the way we were leaning out at the door, there were two different doors and our friends were in front. We seemed like the same person, same angle we were standing, same way we were standing. The way we were talking also, let's say the hands are like here and something. It was strange. And I remember once I was very familiar with him, I remember there were even body parts which I felt like he's a man, but I'm saying like there were a few weird things. Like, I have a mole underneath my eye, he has a mole underneath the same eye. There's a beauty spot inside my eyes, he has a beauty spot exactly inside his eyes. I mean, there are so many similarities which I like. If I start making a video on similarities, I think the video will never end. So this is one of the ways I'm telling you. Then one more way to let you know about twin flames is that it's not only the good things that you have to look for when it comes to a twin flame. So many theories you will see if you go through the YouTube videos, you'll see that there are many theories where they say that Romeo Juliet and Leila Majnun, like all the legendary lovers, most of them, I'm not saying all of them, but most of them were actually twin flames. So at the end of the day, you'll start feeling, okay, if Romeo Juliet and all of them were twin flames, that means you're not really going to be with your twin flame, right? Because most of them had a because most of them had unfulfilled love, right? So you'll just feel, oh my god, that means I'm not going to be with my twin flame. But that's not completely true. So I'll tell you what happens is that when you're with your soulmate, the relationship is good, and sometimes you can even be married to your soulmate. It's not a bad thing to get married to your soulmate. You might have a very friendly relationship. But with twin flame, once you understand that you're familiar to each other, imagine two fireballs meeting, because at the end of the day, both of you are the same energy. So the trigger points are going to be huge. Okay, the trigger points are not going to be like how you see in any other relationship. It's going to be triple of that, let's say, not double, but triple of that. Like every set of fear that you have is going to come up, and it's going to come up for him, it's going to come up for you, it's going to come up for both the partners. I'm not saying him or her only. If you can recognize that he's your twin flame, I'm telling you, it's going to come up big stuff that you don't want to talk about. All your insecurities, everything will pile up and come up all at once. So it's like fire meeting fire, and it's scary at first, but I'll get you to the good point of it. If both of you can actually go through that fire with all that you have, just stick there like, yeah, we can do this, we're not giving up on each other, then I'll tell you, the love that a twin flame can have is far beyond the love that you have ever experienced in your life. Like, if you, like, there's a saying that, you know, you do not get unconditional love apart from your parents, and there are very rarely people in this earth who have got that unconditional love. That unconditional love is what you're going to feel if you can go through this period of fire. Complete unconditional love, I'm telling you. And I think that's what my video on today's twin flame was. So if any one of you want to meet your twin flame, and you're wondering if the person you are meeting or about to meet feels a bit familiar to this, then I'll congratulate you that yes, let's hope that it is your twin flame. And if any one of you are going through that fiery stage, and if anything in my video made you familiar with the term twin flame and you can associate to it, then I hope you also get through that fire and you meet in a place where both of you have unconditional love for each other. So all love for all of you, and thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned for next video, and let me know what you want to see in the next video. Whether you want me to make an entire detailed video of how I met my twin flame, or any topic or any questions that any one of you have, please shoot in the comment section and let me know. And if you have met your twin flame and you have a story to say, then please let me know. I would love to read them.